What's up, friends? My name is Mike Fortin. I'm 6'5", 260 pounds. I'm a father, a husband, an actor, and a filmmaker. This is my podcast. No idea where this is going to go, but with all my experience in so many different things, I thought it might be fun to share my experiences with you. And maybe learn something about me, maybe learn something about yourself, maybe you learn something that helps you along the way. I can tell you that in all my years of being a human being, I've had a lot of ups and downs. I've had a lot of successes. I've had a lot of failures, certainly more failures than successes. And I can tell you that being a father, being a husband, and providing for your family, probably one of the most difficult things you can do, and try and stay sane at the same time. Obviously, men's mental health, a big issue these days with so much going on in the world and with so many trials and tribulations of trying to raise a young man and a young woman. My kids are 9, 10, and I have an older daughter who's 21, who is already out in the world and seeing how rough life can truly be. But trying to raise a young man at 9 years old and a young woman at 10 years old really weighs on a father, and of course, moms as well. But as the hunters, the gatherers, the providers, we have a little bit extra on our shoulders. And I can tell you that life has not always been easy for me. And I can tell you that right now, life is certainly not easy for me or for my family. See, I've worked in Hollywood since 2013. I've worked behind the camera. And I've found some great success. I found a lot of great friends, and I found a career that I absolutely love. In 2022, I started acting. It's something I've been passionate about my entire life. Something I've cared about my entire life. Something I used to do when I was younger. Something I enjoyed back then. I enjoyed being on a stage. I enjoyed performing in front of people. I enjoyed being the class clown. I just enjoyed performing. I enjoyed seeing smiles on people's faces that I know I put there. So I always knew that acting was something I wanted to do. However, I can tell you that over the years, I didn't always stay in shape. And because of that, self-confidence got to an all-time low. I ballooned up to a whopping 328, almost 330 pounds. About 5 years ago, I made the decision to get healthy. Lost 70 plus pounds, got down to 250 pounds. I'm now sitting at about 260 pounds, very healthy. Go to the gym just about every single day that I can. And I really enjoy it. If I don't go to the gym, I feel terrible. I feel mad at myself for not being able to go. So even when I'm traveling or I'm on the road or whatever it may be, I always try to make time if I have to get up a little bit earlier or stay up a little bit late. It's become a very important thing for me. Staying healthy, eating right, sleeping, all these things that we all take for granted, but it's something that if we don't do, we simply don't reap the benefits of it. And as we get older, I know certainly as I get older, I want to be able to keep up with my young kids, my 9 and 10-year-old, which before I got in shape, I couldn't do. I couldn't drive down the road at 328 pounds and not get tired after driving a half an hour or wanting to stop and rest or something. It was just terrible. My testosterone was super low. I was just a complete mess. My mood was just an emotional roller coaster. I was mad one minute, happy the next, laughing the next, sad the next. And so really just things just got out of control until I finally decided to take control of my health and finally just get in shape. And I started with the keto diet, and that's what led me, thanks to a lot of advice from Joe Rogan and on his podcast and a lot of the experts. Keto was the thing back then, and that's what I followed, and that's what I cared about, and that's what I did. And it got me to where I was, and it set me on this incredibly great health journey. Still, I feel like to a point I've gotten where I want to be muscle-wise and looks-wise. I feel much better. I feel far more confident than I ever have before. But of course, once you get to that point, I wouldn't call it a plateau because I could certainly still keep going. But once you get to that point, you feel that you can still do better. You want to look different. You want to get big and bulk, or you want to cut down and you want to lean out and you want to shred and you want to see those abs and those veins and everything else popping. So you're truly never happy. I can tell you that firsthand experience. But besides the health journey, I figured I'd tell you a little bit about that. Besides the health journey that I went on, I'm also a business owner. I started a company back in 2012 that led me to Hollywood. Started it back in Florida, led me to Hollywood. And I've enjoyed a lot of success working in Hollywood. I've met some amazing people. Many people that you probably know and have seen on TV shows for years or movies. And so many great people and friends behind the camera. Because each one of these shows that we work on or films that we do, it's like a family. And if you're there enough, you become part of that family. And just like every family, there's happy days, there's not so happy days, there's agreements, there's disagreements, there's yelling, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, everyone really enjoys being there and loves being there and is there for a reason, and that's to put out the very best product that they possibly can, the most visually appealing, the just giving you guys the best TV shows and movies that you can enjoy. And at the end of the day, for me, it's very personal because I didn't really think about it at first, but thinking about it now, every show that I've worked on, that's going to live forever. So my kids, my grandkids, their kids will be able to say, hey, my dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather worked on this show. So for all of us who work in this, I don't know if everyone that works in Hollywood thinks like that, but it is one of those things where this is going to live forever. Just like we watch old shows or we watch reruns of Seinfeld, not that that was that long ago, or The Honeymooners or whatever it may be. I don't want to date myself too much, but that stuff lives forever. And so is the stuff that we're working on today. So I've told you a little bit about my health. I've told you a little bit about my journey in Hollywood, and not so much in front of the camera, but that was all behind the camera. Now we move to 2022 where I've jumped in front of the camera. I'm acting. I've had a lot of success on some really great TV shows. Bosch, 911, How to Be a Bookie. Really just riding a great wave in a very, very short amount of time and learning so much from so many great people and so much advice. And people I really care about have been so gracious to offer so much advice and constructive criticism or whatever it may be. Tough love even, but all from a great place and something that I am very grateful for, and very grateful to be able to, text or call any of these people at any given time just to get advice. And so to them, thank you, because without them, I would have never had the courage to actually jump in front of a camera in the first place. But I can tell you that as great as everything sounds, and as great as everything was for so long, over the past 16, 17 months, since May 1st, 2023, Hollywood has kind of been in shambles. You may have heard about the writer's strike that started. Well, that strike we were told, was going to last a month, maybe 3. About 3 months in, the Actors Guild jumped into that fight. So it became a dual strike. So we had 2 major guilds that had shut down the entire industry. Because if you don't know about Hollywood, if writers can't work, they're not allowed to shoot a TV show, because there's always changes on scripts and things like that. So without the writers, you can't film. And then obviously with actors, well, if they're striking, you're certainly not having any actors, and you're certainly not filming anything because you just don't have actors. So that really created a huge rift in the industry, and something that I don't think the industry has ever seen. I certainly haven't been in the industry all that long, but for the time that I've been in, I've never seen anything like that. I've heard stories prior to me getting into the industry about strikes, but nothing was ever like this. Nothing was ever so intense. When those strikes hit, life's changed. Whether or not they knew it at the moment, which we didn't, life's changed. All these lives changed. Tens of thousands of lives. Because here we are today, 16 or 17 months after the start of these strikes. And Hollywood is a shell of what it used to be. After the pandemic, when we came back, Hundreds of shows were shooting on any given day. Not just in Hollywood, but across the country, across the world. Movies, TV shows were shooting. Now, we have maybe 100 shows that are shooting. So you can imagine all the jobs that have been lost, all the lives that have been disrupted. So many people have already left Hollywood, left California, left for other industries, left for other states. And I haven't even told you my story yet. So you can imagine what's really going on with so many people having lost so much over this past year. For me and my family, we've lost a lot. And again, I revert back to saying, as a man, as a father, as a husband, I lost not only my job, not only things that I was passionate about, both behind and in front of the camera, I lost the ability to provide for my family. I've gotten to the point now where $5 value meals are something that I have to think twice about. Whereas before, there was no thinking about where we were going to go eat, how often we were going to eat. But I can tell you that these are all things that are commonplace now. Having not worked for 16 or 17 months, having lost our house in LA, in California, having lost a vehicle because we had to cut down on expenses, we had to really try and, tighten up what we could. We had saved up a nice nest egg that we were going to use to buy a house, and unfortunately, all of that money is gone because we've had to live. Trying to find work, coming from this industry, going to quote unquote normal jobs has become very difficult. You get asked the questions like, what are you going to do if Hollywood comes back to work? What are you looking to do here? How long are you looking to stay? What do you want to do? And when you come from Hollywood, it's a very different experience. You don't realize working in Hollywood how well you have it when you're working on set. Yes, we work exceptionally long hours. We work exceptionally hard to put out what you guys see at the end that looks pretty and beautiful and fun. The people on the back end are working so hard just for that, whether it's putting up lights in the middle of the night so it looks like daytime, or blacking out windows so it looks like nighttime when it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Whether it's digging holes to put charges in for special effects. Whether it's the actors that are putting on a whole bunch of gear so they can run around in 100-degree weather, sweating bullets, shooting guns, making things look as authentic as possible. Firefighters doing their thing again in 80, 100-degree weather with full gear on all day long to make these TV shows for you guys. It's tough. It's a tough business, but something truly special when you think about what you're putting out there and the people that are going to see, the millions and millions and millions of people that are going to see it. And when you watch these shows from someone who's worked in there, you look for those moments where you contributed, whether it was someone who moved a light, whether it was someone who ran a line so that you can get electricity on the other side of the street, whether it's the people in Crafty that are bringing food around so people have the chance to eat while they're working so hard, whether it's the actors that are doing their very best to put on a great performance, even though it's super hot or super cold or they've been in water all day or whatever it may be. And having been on both sides of that, I can tell you that everything we do is hard. But this strike has taken away the ability just to work. let alone work hard. For so many people, it's devastated my family and I. And I can tell you, I love social media. I'm on social media all the time. And I'm always posting. I don't post the shit. I don't post the bad stuff. I don't post the bad days. Try to keep it positive. Because my kids are on social media. As much as I hate to admit that, they're on social media. And so a lot of what you might see on my social media, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, it's for my kids. It's so my kids think that everything is okay. And while, yeah, they're here with me in the house and mom, and they hear the conversations, they're exceptionally bright, just like all kids are. They all can understand what's going on, and they know when things aren't bad. When they see dad in a not so great mood, or at times maybe shed a tear because you want the very best for them, and you're thinking ahead, and you're thinking that, maybe you can't get them that Christmas present. You can't get them the clothes they want to go back to school, the shoes they want, the Jordans this year. As a guy, you have this responsibility. As a man, as a father, you have this responsibility to keep your kids happy, to keep your kids safe. And just like me, I think my kids have learned a lot over these past several months. And they've learned to be patient. They've learned that everything doesn't come easy all the time. They've learned that they have to cut back on some of their fun, on being able to go to places like Sky Zone that they love to go jump and play, and sometimes those $50 a month subscriptions are just too much. And so this then becomes a story about resilience and how do you come back. And I have no fucking clue. None. I have no idea. As an actor, I still get auditions, but it's not nearly as many as it was because just there's not a lot of shows that are shooting. From a business owner standpoint, again, in Hollywood, there's not a lot of shows shooting. And so jobs are tough to come by. And there's a lot of competition out there. So it truly becomes a question of how do you pick yourself back up? How do you move forward? How do you continue to maintain a roof over your head when things have gotten so bad that there's a very, very good chance that that roof isn't going to be there in a matter of days? And there is no backup plan. Because without money, there is no backup plan. And as much as you try and you work towards a goal to try and do something, it takes time. And in many cases, we've heard it a million times before. It takes money to make money. I'd love to take $100 and go to a casino and bet it all and double my money and continue to do so. But it's just not realistic. I'm all for betting on something and hoping and praying that it works out. But when it comes to your life and your kids and your wife and keeping things going, man, it's tough to put that money down and take that bet. Because you don't know. You could risk it all and have a huge reward. You could not risk it and lose nothing. Not that I have anything to risk because, like I said, not working for 16 months, there's nothing to lose. And so here we begin to rebuild. We look for a way forward. And maybe that's what this podcast is about. Maybe it's about the path of redemption. Maybe it's looking for a way back. Maybe it's coming up with business ideas. Maybe it's coming up with something that can be big. Or multiple things. I don't know. But I hope that you'll stick around. I hope that together we can take this journey. I hope that together we can learn from each other. And through your comments and your ideas, maybe together we can figure out a way. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Thanks for watching episode 1. My name is Mike Fortin, and we'll see you next time.